Shavua Tov, Abu Tvach. As you know, we're approaching the 18th day of Elul, the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, as well as the birthday of the Alter Rebbe. So I want to share a story based on a teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov taught famously that a soul can come down to this world for 70 or 80 years, and the real goal of that person's life is to do a favor for another Jew. So the idea of Avas Yisrael can justify your life. It's not. This story illustrates that it's not an exaggeration. Around 30-some years ago, there was a Jew in New York that needed some urgent advice from the Rebbe. So he came to 770 Eastern Parkway and he asked the Rebbe's secretaries if it's possible to arrange a meeting. And they said the Rebbe is really booked for those many, many people already signed up in advance and they're really sorry, but why doesn't he write a letter and present his questions? The Rebbe will answer him. But he really wanted to speak face to face and hear the Rebbe's answer directly. So he contacted a Lubavitcher friend and said, is there any way that I can get into the Rebbe? Do you have any pull? And this friend of his said, I know no one has pull, but every day the Rebbe returns from the afternoon service from the little synagogue upstairs to his office, and many times people on the way, the Rebbe will see them and they'll stop the Rebbe and ask something or get a blessing. So why don't you try that? So at the very next opportunity, I think it was that afternoon, he presented himself in the hallway together with another 20 people, and he wasn't pushy enough to get to the front, and therefore he didn't have a chance to catch the Rebbe's eye and present his question. He was very disappointed, and he spoke again to his friend, and his friend said, well, every day the Rebbe gets a ride from his house to 770. So he leaves his house around 9:45, 10 to 10. So why don't you park yourself near the Rebbe's house, and when you see the Rebbe's door open, the Rebbe starts coming down the stairs to the car, approach the Rebbe, and the Rebbe will, of course, will notice you and interact with you. So that's exactly what he did. The next morning, he stayed near the Rebbe's house. The Rebbe came down to the car. He approached the Rebbe, and the Rebbe nodded with his head that he was open to a conversation, and he had a 10-minute talk with the Rebbe. He asked the Rebbe questions, the Rebbe gave him an answer. He asked more questions, the Rebbe gave him advice, and he got an answer to everything that was on his heart, on his mind, and the Rebbe wished him a good day, and the Rebbe got into the car. So he was very excited, and now he has what to do. He has the instructions and direction. And all of a sudden, a few boys approached him, some bachrim, and they really gave him over the head. How dare he stop the Rebbe for 10 minutes on the way? It's so disrespectful. The Rebbe's time is so precious. And they really made him feel very bad. So first he went and he did what the Rebbe told him to do. He followed the Rebbe's advice and was able to address his difficult issues. Then he sat down and he wrote a letter to the Rebbe apologizing that he didn't realize that this was so inappropriate and so disrespectful, and it was not his intention in any way, shape, or form, and therefore he's begging the Rebbe to please forgive him. And he left the letter in 770 to be given to the Rebbe. The next day he gets a phone call from the Rebbe's secretariat that there's an answer to his letter. He should please come if he wants to see it. So he came to 770, he was shown the answer of the Rebbe, and then he went into the little study hall and he noticed the same people who gave him a hard time, and he said to them, have a seat please, I want to share with you the Rebbe's answer to me, perhaps it also applies to you. And the Rebbe wrote 2 points. One of them was critical of the boys not being in the synagogue davening instead of being in the street, but the next answer is why I'm sharing the story. The Rebbe said, it's a well-known teaching of the Baal Shem Tov that a soul comes down. Of course, we come down for a long life of many good deeds. But there may be one favor that's the real point of your existence. The Rebbe said, how do these boys know that helping you was not the purpose of my soul coming down to this world? That the Rebbe should look that his point of existence is to help another person is not mind-blowing about the Rebbe, but may be a lesson for us how we have to try to look at other people. Have a great week. May you have a ksiva, chasima teva, a good, sweet year.